Today I'm sharing stunning summer wreath ideas that you'll definitely want to put on your front door for the summer season. I have this grapevine wreath and you can see I already have some branches attached to it with some moss. I'm going to have the original video for this linked down below for you. I also have a selection of some fairy houses that I picked up from Dollar Tree, probably last year or maybe the year before. I can't remember exactly when, but I'm going to just show you what the pinecone one looks like, and I'm actually going to end up using this fairy house. I also have a selection of some figurines from Dollar Tree. I've got this little bunny, it's got a broken ear, but I'm going to hide that. I don't know if I'm going to use everything that I am showing. I just wanted to show you a different selection of things that I have in my stash. So all I'm going to do is add some hot glue and then put that into place, the little house into place on the branches. So if you're concerned about the heat where you live, you can put this together using some silicone or some E6000 in combination with some hot glue to help hold everything into place. I am also going to be using some faux greenery and flowers. These are actually made out of plastic. They aren't the fabric type. I find that these hold up better outside, especially if you're wanting this to last the season. Again, I'm just going to be using hot glue. I found that the hot glue is going to work just fine for where I am putting my wreath. It is going to be in the shade, although it does get really hot where I live. And I find that if you use good quality hot glue, such as Gorilla Glue sticks, I find that that does work really well, but I do a lot of times use it in combination with some Gorilla silicone as well. So as you can see, all I'm going to do is just cut down using some wire snips, all these little pieces, and I am creating a bit of like a gardeny forest here. And I like the different textures of the leaves. I find it just really helps to create a lot of interest like you would actually see in a garden. So I'm going to start to add some of my figurines. I've got this cute little gnome. He's holding a watering can. I wanted to place him in a spot to make it look like he's going out to tend to his little garden. So I'm just, again, using my hot glue, and I'm going to just put him into place on the branches. You do need to hold things in place until the glue sets. I'm going to add the little bunny, and remember, the bunny had a broken ear, so I'm going to turn that broken ear in towards all the plants that I have put into place. He is hiding there, so I'm just going to trim off some of the branches off of those faux greenery. I've got this cute little turtle. It's got a pink flower. I thought it would be a fun little touch, especially since it's got that pink flower on it. I thought it would be so cute. Now I'm going to start to add some florals, and this is where I'm going to be adding some color. So I always use little bits and pieces that are left over from previous projects. I also will take projects apart that I am no longer loving anymore, and I will just reuse a lot of these pieces in projects such as this. And I find it's a really great way to use up all those extra scraps that we have laying around in our craft rooms. I have a lot of people asking me where I get all my greenery and florals. I collect them from Dollar Tree, a store called Dollarama here in Canada. I also get them from Michael's. Occasionally I've gotten them from Walmart, but I find my Walmart doesn't have the biggest selection. I also will pick them up from garage sales or thrift stores occasionally, but I found that if you get ones that you absolutely love, you can just reuse them over and over again. So one thing I like to do is add some real branches to my projects. I find that it just creates, of course, a lot more of a realistic look to a project like this. It really adds a really nice dimension to this. So all I'm going to do is just cut them down, figure out the placement, and then glue them into place. So the branches that you see me use in this video, I forage those myself. I like to go on nature walks, or I like to go hikes in the forest and just collect a lot of things. I am going to have a full playlist for you in the description box, as well as put in the end of this video, showing a list of some different videos of me foraging and how I go about that. Okay, so now I wanted to add some preserved reindeer moss. And what this is going to do is create kind of like the lower shrub look, as well as kind of create a bit of a grassy look. So I'm just adding some glue and then pressing that into some different spots where I felt it just needed a little bit extra, or where I needed to hide certain spots, such as underneath that little house there. As an alternative, if you need to, you could definitely use Spanish moss if that's all you can get. So next you can use a blow dryer to melt all those glue strings. It really helps to get rid of them, but that is it. I really love how this turned out. I think it's so fun and whimsical. It would actually make a really great gift for somebody as well. So I'm going to be using another grapevine wreath. I've actually got two here. One that had fallen apart, and so I took those little scraps. I also made this one here out of some grapevines that were given to me by my father-in-law, and I actually wanted to combine the two of them. I thought it would create a really cool wild look, but I had wired the bottom one together with some green wire and it was really showing. So I'm just going to go in and combine these two together using some wire that is covered with some brown twine. So you just need to make sure you secure this all together so it stays balanced and also helps to hold the whole thing together. So I think I did a total of 3 spots, but of course it'll just depend on what you have to create a wild wreath like this. Okay, so I've got these pieces of curly birch bark and I thought these would be perfect for this project. Again, these I have foraged and I'm going to have those videos linked for you so you can check that out. But all I'm going to do is add some hot glue on those touch points between the wreath and the birch bark. So I always put the things into place to see how it looks, but also so I know where to apply the hot glue. Again, if you need to, you can definitely use a combination of some silicone as well as the hot glue, or whatever type of glue that you prefer. I found this fun little mushroom and I had already taken care of it. It is really important to make sure that you kill any spores that this could potentially give off. So you'll want to put it in the oven for a little while. But again, I just used my hot glue and then just glued that into place. I thought it was a really fun and whimsical touch to add. And then I'm just going to continue to add some birch bark curls. I do want to apologize for how I sound. I am a bit congested as I am getting over a cold and it's allergy season. So I've got a double whammy. So I decided to add this piece of birch bark. I thought it was kind of interesting because it's got that little knot portion, and I just thought it would kind of create a bit of interest to the wreath, just creating lots of different texture to this piece. Here's another fun little mushroom that I am going to add. I think this one's called a turkey tail. I'm not 100% sure again, but I just had enough space there to add some hot glue, so I put that into place and I really like how that looks. Now I'm going to add some moss that I had foraged. This is called sheet moss, and I'm just removing the dirt that's still on the bottom. Now I will say this can potentially fall apart on you, so you want to be quite generous with the hot glue here. But if you can't get your hands on this, then definitely just use some preserved reindeer moss or Spanish moss, whatever you can get your hands on. I really wanted to try and use as many natural elements as I could for this project, and since I had this moss, I'm planning to go ahead and use that. Now I will say this wreath is going to be going outside on my front door. All of these wreaths will be used on front doors. And so I wasn't as concerned about the mess that this could create, but do keep that in mind. If you're planning on keeping this inside, it will definitely be messy, and follow some proper preserving techniques. I wanted to add some pine cones. I've got some fir cones as well as some spruce cones, and I'm going to add a selection of those. Use whatever you can get your hands on. I'm actually also curious, like if you live in an area like Arizona, what type of items can you forage to create a beautiful outdoor wreath like this? I know we're from all over the world, and so I'm always curious because I live in Canada and I have got a ton of this type of thing available to me for my crafting needs, but I know not everybody does. So drop it in the comment section letting me know what you can forage wherever you live. So again, to get rid of those pesky glue strings, use your blow dryer, and then you have got an absolutely beautiful foraged wreath. This was all free, which is so fun, and I absolutely love the whimsical feel this has. This next grapevine wreath, you've probably seen it before online, and that is the one where you're using clay pots, but I decided I'm going to use little peat pots. These are those little seedling pots that you would use. I've got a mix of just some natural ones as well as painted ones, and I'm just going to use my hot glue gun to glue them onto the wreath in random ways, random directions. So I had seen them all done with clay pots, and I thought to myself, I'm going to try these peat pots. I've got a lot of them in my stash already. Really trying hard to use up my stash this year, but also I thought this would cut down on the weight of the wreath. I would imagine those little clay pots would end up getting quite heavy. So as you can see, all I'm going to do is add some hot glue, put them into place, and add extra hot glue wherever the little pots touch each other. I'm just taking the end of my glue gun and just putting that bit of glue in between, and I will be adding some extra elements to help hide any glue that may be showing. I decided to add some of the painted pots because I thought it would add just a touch of color here and there. Of course, just do whatever you'd like. You can just go all natural, get really creative with the supplies that you have in your stash. So I did end up using quite a bit of glue, but you can see I've got it all filled in. Now I'm going to take some preserved reindeer moss and I'm going to add it in just some of those spots where I felt like it just needed a little extra. And I'm also adding some of this in between the pots just to help add a little bit of interest. It really adds to this project. So I added all my preserved reindeer moss. Now I'm going to add a bit of Spanish moss. Now I should have glued this in. I wasn't thinking. I just started putting it inside the pots. Oh, and by the way, this is green Spanish moss as well. But I do highly recommend that you glue the moss in place. You can even add some floral foam in each pot if you'd like, because I am going to glue my stems in. Now, I did end up just gluing those stems to the size of the pot. I was just trying to keep the work as light as possible for this project, so I made a few little cheats here and there, but you can see this Spanish moss really adds, again, just a really nice interest. You think about your gardens, all the different textures that you see, and that's kind of the thing that I was going for. So now I'm gonna, again, add some florals. So I'm just figuring out, making sure my stem is not too long because then it'll stick out too far and look kind of funny, but I'm holding that stem into place against the side of the pot. And now I'm going to just go ahead and continue to add some greenery in these pots and just a real mix of some different florals. And this is, I think these are just some little berries, or maybe they're supposed to mimic yarrow. I'm not 100% sure, but I just like all the different textures that I have in my stash of the florals and greenery. So as you can see, I didn't fill every single pot. I just felt like it didn't really need it, but I balanced the color throughout, making sure I got this really bright pop of pink spread throughout. I really like that pop of pink. I think it really brightens this wreath up. And then I'm going to now add these paper butterflies. So again, this is going to be in a sheltered place. If this isn't going to be sheltered, you are definitely going to want to use the clay pots if it's going to be exposed to the elements. Where I'm putting this wreath, it will not be hit by the rain. It will be fully protected. It's not even going to be in the sun. My door is in a nice shady area, but if this is going to be exposed to elements, then you're going to want to change the way you do this wreath. You're going to want to use maybe some feathered butterflies or some plastic butterflies. You might want to just skip this part, but you'll have to just really take that into consideration where you are going to be placing this wreath. This one could go inside quite easily. I think it would be absolutely gorgeous creating a large one and putting it above your fireplace or on your wall. I really like the touch of the butterflies. I think it just adds such a whimsical touch. And you could add some birds too. I thought that would be fine. But again, you're going to be using your blow dryer to get rid of the many glue strings that we have created. And then hang it on the door. You can see how beautiful it looks on my front door. I am actually thinking I might give this one to my mom, or I might make another one for her. I'm not sure, but tell me what you think of this one and maybe the different ways that you would make it so it can hold up outside in the elements. I have so many more outdoors garden ideas or summer ideas for you to check out in this video right here. I truly appreciate you joining me today, and we will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.